Alright everyone, by popular demand, we're going to do an update of my elevator parts collection as of January 30th, 2020. So we'll start this tour with the things outside. And this here is the very first elevator button that I got. I bought it on eBay, and I didn't have a box for it, so I kind of made this crappy box out of this little project box that I actually bought at Radio Shack. And then up here, this is the external indicator from the Church Avenue garage that Andrew gave to me. And you can see when I hit the switch, it turns on. And over here on the left, we have the biggest panel that I have, which is the Dover Impulse panel. This was given to me by Mike from Automatic Elevator, and Andrew and I brought it all the way back here to Missouri, and I made it do this. So when you turn it on with this key switch, it turns on. Now I have made a video about wiring this thing, and it does work a little bit differently than since that video. But if we press 2, it goes up to 2, and if we push 1, it goes down to 1, just like a real elevator. And if we get stuck in the elevator, we can hit the alarm. Another kind of hidden feature with this is with the light switch. We turn the light switch on, the emergency light pops on. And the door buttons are just static, they don't actually do anything either. So now we come into the main display area. So I've currently moved all the clothing items out so we can see what's behind it. I kind of store the extra stuff back there. Over here we have an Otis Series 1 panel that was given to me by Mike. It's currently missing some pieces, which I will hopefully eventually get the parts for. And over here inside this Midwest elevator bag, we've got a bunch of various merchandise, different elevator themed items. Over here we have a few circuit boards and one of my exit signs. I'm currently waiting on another one, so I'll have 2 exit signs, but this is the one I picked up from a flea market for really cheap. And over here we have 2 car panels, both given to me by Mike from Automatic Elevator. This first one here is just a Adams panel. I'm pretty sure this came off of an old Otis. Just seeing kind of the layout of the panel. But we got these little up and down buttons and our floor buttons. And it's one of those kind of really bendy panels because it doesn't have a box. This here is an Innovation car panel. And I did a wiring video on this. This as well was given to me by Mike. So the floor buttons light up, the alarm lights up, and there's the phone cabinet, which has nothing in it. And if we take our fire service key and switch it to on, the little fire hat comes on. There's currently no emergency light or indicator in here. That would be something I'd like to add later. And down here on the floor, we have a pretty awesome indicator that was given to me by Justin. This here came out of a parking garage in Sacramento. And what I've done is I've hooked up an Arduino to it, and you can actually use the remote control to simulate an elevator. So we see it goes up to 3. Now we'll actually make it go up to 6. And since my part wiring video of this, I have also made a few tweaks to the programming of it, but it still runs the same, and it's like a little mini elevator simulator, just like that. Now over here, we have a few buttons that are actually part of the Elevator's Elevator Museum. These 3 items here are currently with me to get some work done on them. Now these buttons kind of hidden in the corner here. This is a button that Paul gave me. And you can see when I push the buttons in, little chime rings, and hidden way here in the corner, this is an Adams button that was given to me by an elevator tech in Murray, Mike from DC Elevator. And up here on this little, I guess, makeshift shelf, it's really a box, I've got a few various items such as some circuit boards, some gate switches, limit switches, we've got a phone over here, some chimes. We've got this is a chime that I built. This is an old, the old controller for my US indicator. Just a bunch of very random items here. And back up here we have 2 more panels. This is a Schindler-Houghton indicator that Sam gave me. And this is a pretty cool Dominion GAL call button. Up here we've got 2 fire alarms. An old Faraday fire alarm from Justin and a Simplex fire alarm from Andrew. Around here we've got a few random things, some key switches, a little bell. This here is a wiring diagram from Justin. It's a Dover wiring diagram. It just kind of sits there for now. Up here is yet even more stuff. This here is a little jar of extra keys and sorts of things. the Reflex from Minnesota Elevator. And over here we've got a little instruction manual, or a little instruction warning guide thing for how to use manual freight doors from Peely. We've also got a few safety stickers from Peely. Andrew gave me some of the extra stickers that Peely gave him when he went to visit. And right here we have one of my more recent projects, which is the bell board. And pretty much what it is, you've got these buttons and you can push them and they ring bells. So that's the bell board. I'm pretty happy with it. I just never really thought about what I would do if I ever get any more bells. So then moving across the bottom here, this little control panel we'll get back to in a little bit, these 3 buttons, but this is for the bell board. This panel we'll take a look at later as well. This is wired up to something, but this is actually a CJ Anderson inspection station. And over here, we've just got a little innovation key switch. This is a fire service key switch, and it's currently not hooked up to anything. So if I put the key in, you can turn it to on, or turn it to bypass. So now moving up to the first shelf. In the back there, we've got a couple of little fire signs. Tell you, don't use the elevator. And next we have these 3 switches. So this first one says salt, and that's because it lights up the salt. And that salt piece came out of a salt mine that Andrew and I went to, and obviously rode the elevator too, but that was kind of cool. And then the other 2 buttons, they say lantern up, lantern down, and that's exactly what they do. They make this little lantern light up and down. This is the very first lantern that I ever got. This was given to me by Andrew. I wanted to make it do something, but I haven't been so productive with the other lanterns, which you'll see later. So here we have an old, I believe, Otis plate. You can actually push the buttons too, which is kind of cool, but this was given to me by Andrew. This is one of the first things he gave me, actually, which was pretty awesome. It would be cool to hook this up to an actual button at some point, but for now it's just looking awesome. Here we got a little Montgomery elevator relay. This here is a CJ Anderson call button, which was custom made for me by Tom from CJ Anderson, and he sent this to me, so huge thank you to Tom for this very epic button. Over here we have a DMC selector board. This is actually the first circuit board item I ever got. And while we're over here on the bottom, we may as well look at all of the various logos and plates and whatnot. These have come from a variety of sources, including eBay, a lot from eBay elevator companies, old parts that we pulled them off of, and so there's just lots of logos. So starting here on the left, we've got 2 Schindler HT buttons, both from eBay. This one lights up red, and this one lights up green, and both of them have a little fire service key, so we can switch the key to this one. This one lights up the button, but this one actually has a little light right here. This next piece is one of my favorites because I love these little buttons here, these dumbwaiter buttons. This was a piece that Justin originally gave to Andrew, and then Andrew gave to me because he knew I loved these buttons. So a huge thank you to both of those people for this very epic piece. This here is an Otis call station. Very, very simple. Look, came off of a service elevator. I don't actually remember where it came from, but it came off a service elevator. This here is an Armor VR call station that Justin gave me. And you can see it sounds really cool, but this came off the same parking garage that lantern came off of. Here we have 2 Otis Lexan call stations. This one lights up blue, and this one lights up green and red. So this one I think came off of eBay, and this one I think CJ Anderson actually did some work on. Yeah, you can see the CJ Anderson thing, so he put a box on it. And up here we have this custom 3D printed STL elevator call button. Over here we have some of the bigger panels. This here is one of the first pieces I ever got, and this came out of the Church Avenue garage in Roanoke, Virginia. And Andrew gave this to me, but I've also wired it up and made it do this. So when you push the buttons, it rings a chime. Over here we have a very weird kind of panel. This is a Electrodyne button that Justin gave to me. I would recommend checking out the video for this one because the button is not really a button, which you'll see in that video, it's just a very weird button. Over here is another one of the first pieces Andrew gave me. This is a very cool Baxter & Sons car panel, and this is one of the first things I wired, so it's done horribly. This here is an eBay item. This is a pretty awesome Otis dumbwaiter panel with the black buttons. Now this next piece was actually a huge surprise. Andrew said he had a surprise button to give to me, and he pulled this out. This is one of the Alderson elevator buttons that he got from Murray State. So when you push the up and the down button, they light up. And then this little B car coming thing, so you could use this key to summon a certain car. So when you turn this, that little indicator lights up. Over here we have another eBay item. This was actually a set of 2 buttons that Andrew ordered on eBay and sent to Tom to refurbish, because this is a C.J. Anderson. It's an old Speedle elevator button, and he gave me one of the 2 buttons, and this thing is absolutely amazing. This next button is the Dominion button from the 707 building in Roanoke, and I built a little box to put it in so it can function. This next piece was from Andrew. It's a PTL fire service panel. So we have door open, door close, call cancel, and if we stick the fire key in and turn it on, lights up. This here is from the Cathedral of Learning in Pittsburgh. This is the old Westinghouse Selectomatic. These are really cool. These are basically AE. Over here we have just a standard C.J. Anderson call station. This was given to me by Chris. This came off of an old freight elevator, an old Montgomery freight elevator. Over here we have a Taunton L series button that was actually from Sam. Sam gave it to Justin, and then Justin gave it to me when Sam gave him a different one. And you'll notice that's kind of the trend with some of these buttons. Over here, this is from Sam. This was originally just an Adams call button, but he gave me this very unique shoe button from Macy's. And I decided I think a shoe button would be more interesting than a boring old arrow. Over here, we have 2 Westinghouse buttons from Andrew. This one's the old black buttons, which I love these. And this we have a triangle button, which I like the triangles as well. My poor contact there is dirty, so that's another fix for another day. Up here, this is just a basic Adams fixture, but the real key here, the real excitement, was from these interesting diamonds. So this is more of a unique panel rather than an old or rare button, but it still looks pretty cool, and that was, I believe, an eBay item. Over here, we've got a couple of smaller items. This here is one of those in case of fire buttons that you see in California that Justin gave me. It's a little beat up, but it's still cool to have one. And here we have a innovation sales sample that Midwest Elevator gave me. And finally on this shelf, we have a Dover inspection station. This here is from an Otis, but I just put it on there because it looks cool. But you've got your inspect switch, your run stop, and your 3 buttons, a little power plug. But there's a little hidden secret to this thing. If you flip this switch on and you push one of the up or down buttons, there's actually an Otis chime hooked up to it, which is kind of funny because it's a Dover controlling an Otis chime. Moving our way up a shelf, this here is where some of my international buttons sit. These are all given to me by Andrew. They're old Schindlers, and then obviously the Westinghouse thing here. This here is an escalator control switch that Justin gave me. It just kind of fit here with all the others, so I put it there. So these 3 Schindler buttons are pretty cool because I will most likely not see them here in the United States except for here. Moving down here, we have the mostly Dover shelf. But we do have this little Schindler van, and this is just an extra remote control for some of my projects. This is kind of where the remote controls live. So this here is an ICO GAL panel that Justin gave to me, but it didn't have a button. So this is an arrow heart button that I put in its place. And when you push it, you see the in-use light turns on. This here is a very common item. There's a lot of these on eBay, and a lot of elevator enthusiasts bought these, but this is just a very interesting Dover call button. It has these kind of like solid arrows instead of these broken arrows. So that's kind of the main attraction here, but it's pretty neat. Over here we have the same types of buttons, but just more of a common version. This is more likely what you would see. And over here we have everyone's favorite Dover Impulse. So for the single button, we have the older switch, which you can hear doesn't click and just kind of slides in. And this one has the newer switch, but it also rings a chime. So that's pretty cool. And over here, this is not even really an elevator item, but more of just a fire alarm, simplex control, little test station. Now moving over to this shelf, we have 3 of these little plates that tell you what floor you're on. They have the little braille. But here we have this old GAL black button call station that Andrew gave me. And I absolutely love these buttons. This thing is pretty cool. This here is a hot and triangle button. This was another one of those items that Sam gave to Justin and then Justin gave to me when Sam gave him another one. This one was kind of broken, missing some pieces, so I custom made a little piece that goes in here. And when you push it, it lights up red and it looks pretty cool. Over here we have a Schindler MT button, which came off of eBay. And you can see the switches work very well on this. But pretty neat fixture. Over here, this was a piece Andrew gave me, I believe, for my birthday. This was a actual General from Baltimore, Maryland, call station. I've only ever seen these buttons in use on one elevator, which we specifically went to see when I was out in the DC area in Baltimore. These are really cool buttons too, and I love this panel. It looks really nice. This over here is a button that I'm very proud of because this button was just sitting in Andrew's drawer. It was all in pieces, it was missing pieces. He said, if you can fix it up, you can keep it. And that's exactly what I did. So this is a Montgomery Vector, and I made my own circuit for it, made my own lights, my own arrows, and I think it looks pretty good. Over here we have two more buttons. We've just got an EPCO button here, kind of a shiny plate, looks pretty nice. And here we have a US button from Justin, and when you push it, it lights up. Moving up a shelf here, we've got this fire alarm that Justin gave me. This here is a Montgomery A-Series little custom fire panel I made. I made this off of extra parts, but if you put the key in and turn it on, you see the emergency operation light kicks on. Here's an Otis Series 1 button from Sam. I made my own kind of circuit for this to make it light up. This here is an armor button, which is kind of custom made. This was originally on an EPCO. This was an EPCO plate, but I kind of shoved an armor button on here. This here is the ThyssenKrupp button that is given to the Safety Ambassador Club. So a lot of people have probably seen this button. Here we have another eBay item. Adams replacement for Otis Touch. This is a piece from Jared, just an Adams VR button. Here we've got two Montgomery A-Series buttons from Mike. This one was also from Mike. And this was another kind of custom made one as well. So a lot of my A-Series parts are just kind of custom built from other parts. Here's another EPCO button. This was given to me by Steven. Here's another piece from Mike. Innovation. Here's a pretty neat piece from Andrew. This is a Montgomery car top station. Got the old switches and everything, but love that panel. This was an old Westinghouse indicator. And if you turn it on and hit the up down, you can change the direction. This lantern is from Nick. This lantern is from Sam. And this lantern is from eBay. Up here in the corner, we've got some more kind of logos and such. We've got a Schindler logo, little fire return switch, and a gigantic Westinghouse logo from Sam. And up there we've got a Midwest elevator sticker and a little 757 up there. Now if you remember at the beginning of the video, I was showing this piece. Well, this is where this comes into play. This here is my US digital indicator, and this is how you control it. So if you turn this on, you'll see the one lights up. You can use the up and down buttons to control the floor. So if we can make it go all the way up to 9, and make it go all the way down to 0, if you really wanted to go down to 0. These switches here turn on the arrows. They're not super bright because there's a really bright light above it, but you can see them pretty well when that light's off. And another neat little feature is the run mode. So if I hit run, and then I use this remote control, we can do an elevator simulator. So now we are currently going up to the 5th floor. Just like that. So I'm really proud of this project. It's run with an Arduino up there with a ton of wires. There's wires that run down this and reach this controller. It was a lot of work, but I am really happy with the way that came out. And up here we have a couple of random padlocks. And up here at the very top, well, my Dover Impulse lantern has fallen over, but we have a bunch of lanterns. We've got another EPCO button there, but a bunch of lanterns given to me by a very big variety of people. And that pretty much concludes the tour. It's definitely changed a lot over the past year since the beginning of 2019, because this is the beginning of 2020. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this tour. I know I've had a lot of requests for it. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.